Hello, everyone. Hi, Angela. I just saw you. Good to see you again. There's a poll that's popping up. Please answer the 4 questions. They are for our grant, and also gives me a little bit of information about who you are and what you do. And also, if you could type in chat, your professional role, are you an SSA? Are you a service and support administrator? Are you an educator? Are you a family member? And how old, what life stage are you supporting? Oh, I love when people say, I've heard of Charting LifeCourse, but haven't used it. Awesome.
Barb, I didn't know I was muted when you said hello to me. So are you finally back home?
I am home. Thank you.
Good.
I got home late Saturday, so thank
Aw.
you.
Well, we got home to no power all weekend, but thankfully it was back on yesterday afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Oh, wow. Everything is good though. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Good, good. Oh my gosh, that's scary. Oh, a job coach. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're on. So if you could just continue to identify who you are, put it in chat. Let me know if you are a family member and the age of your loved one or your role. And the session today, it's lunch with LifeCourse, so we've got 30 minutes, it'll go fast, is really looking at all the plans that families are exposed to, families and people receiving services. I like to call it the, oh good, regional compliance, awesome, awesome. I like to call it the alphabet soup. I have never seen so many letters as when we're talking to families. We just have letters for everything. And so just want to go through that planning process that people may go in and out of, may start at the beginning of early childhood and go through. And then talk about how charting the life course supports staff who work at those different life stages, but also people receiving supports and families. So this session is provided by the Family Resource Network of Ohio. We are Ohio's official hub for charting the life course. Our website is listed there. You can sign up to receive notification of all of our trainings. Please do. And please follow us on Facebook. Every week we try to post a story of how people are using Charting the Life course and the impact it's made. And our trainings, our information sessions are provided without cost due to amazing support and funding from the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities and the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce Development. Our Family Resource Network of Ohio, our team includes Tracy Mans, who's on the call. You see her picture, and Erica Young, who is typing resources and information in chat. If you did not get the handouts, she has put the link to the handouts in chat. And again, these are the handouts for today. We're going to do part 2 tomorrow, and there might be a little bit of difference in the handouts. For those of you who don't know me, I am Barb Seferis. I have worked with people and families for over 49 years. I have worked in the public school, the private school, the parochial schools, the county board, and I've supported people in their home and employment and in day programs, as well as in school. So today we're going to just quickly review that alphabet soup of planning, talk about the importance of having and sharing a vision of a good life with teams, talk about the difference between a content and a process expert, something we all need to keep in mind as we work and support and empower people, and share some tools to support and empower people and families to identify their personal vision of a good life. So there are 4 handouts today. And as I said, Erica has put the link in chat. So if you did not get them already, you can click on the link and have them as a resource. You can also find resources in Spanish. Again, I like to not only give you the link, but I like to tell you how to find them, because you may get off this call and go, where could I find those again? So go to LifeCourseTools.com. Under library, go to foundational tools, and then there is a section for tools and resources in Spanish. So in Ohio, our vision is, bookmark the website, absolutely. Our goal is to share information with people, families, professionals across the lifespan, across service systems, so that we can develop a common framework, understanding, language, and tools that everyone can use and understand. Our core concept, we always start with this. This is our why. Why do we do this? We want all people and their families to have the right to live, love, work, play, learn, and pursue their life aspirations in the community. So, as I said, when families receive a diagnosis, they typically go through a trajectory of service systems, if they're eligible, from getting the diagnosis, if they get that diagnosis in early childhood, but then they enter perhaps preschool, perhaps school age, whether or not they're getting specialized services. And then they enter adulthood, and then aging, or the golden years, or whatever we want to call it. As people move through this trajectory, if they are involved in a system, any system, education, DD, mental health, healthcare, they get some kind of a plan. And so some of the alphabet soup that I just want to give you resource for, sometimes we see PCT and PCP, and that's person-centered thinking and person-centered planning. That is a term that has been used for over 25 years. All service systems should be person-centered. I don't care what service system you are. You go to the doctor's office. When I go to the Cleveland Clinic, it says we are patient-centered, and then it tells you why, and it is the same definition. If people receive services from birth to 3, they might get an IFSP, or an individualized family service plan. This is also known as Part C of the IDEA. Have you heard enough initials in alphabet soup by now? I mean, we're only talking about 3 years old now. And how many letters and alphabets, jargons do we have? But this is from the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Or for those of you that are a little more seasoned, ID 94-142, 1975. So almost 50 years. The IEP, the Individualized Education Program, possibly covers students who are eligible from age 3 to 22, and that is often called Part B of IDEA. And perhaps Some of you are involved with Section 504, which is a plan used in the schools to identify accommodations. And then if you are involved in the DD system, the developmental disability system, receiving supports from the State Department of Developmental Disabilities or any of the county boards, 88 county boards, you might have an OISP, which is an Ohio Individualized Service Plan. And that's for anybody receiving DD services from age 3 and up. So it is possible, if you have a family member, if you are working with people 3 to 22, it might be possible that you are working with an IEP and an OISP. So you've got a double whammy there. But one of the things about all of these plans is they must be person-centered. And we often say person-centered thinking and planning because it's not just about the plan, but it's about the way people think. It's about the way people interact, the way they value people. The myth is people take person-centered planning very literally and say the person is in the center. And that's a myth because the person has always been in the center. My brother started receiving services 56 years ago, and my brother was always at the center of the plan. But the plan was based on deficits. It was a medical model. We got to fix him. We got to improve. He's got to develop skills. And it was very disability focused. Whereas if you are truly person-centered, the focus is on people having better lives, not learning skills, but having better lives. That may or may not include learning skills, because what we may be identifying is supports that people need. The outcome of person-centered thinking and person-centered planning is that people have lives they value and want, and they have positive control over their lives. In other words, they have control over decisions affecting their life, which is the civil right of self-determination. And that people have a valued role in their community. They contribute, they're seen as human beings and not just disability focused. So person-centered thinking, person-centered planning are terms that are used by Medicaid. So if you are receiving any Medicaid funded services, whether it's through a county board, in your schools, at your hospitals, in your medical service system, mental health service system, behavioral health, everyone has to be person-centered. It's not an Ohio thing, it's federal. I also want you to remember, as we look at all of this jargon and alphabet soup, the difference between the content expert and the process expert. The content expert in person-centered approaches the experts are the person and their family. They identify the vision and the outcomes. They identify what's important to the person, which is what the person tells us with their words or actions. What's important for them is what the family says. I want them to lose weight. I don't want them to, I'm trying to think. I don't want them to learn this, or I don't want them to be abused. And the content experts, the person in the family, should be sharing the content with people who help them, paid and unpaid. The process experts are the professionals. We know what paperwork has to be done. We know where the content fits on the paperwork. We facilitate the conversation. We also can add important for. The teacher can add, the therapists, the doctors, the justice, both juvenile and adult justice system might add information about what's important for the person. And the professionals facilitate the process. They schedule the meetings, they facilitate the conversation, they record the information, and they submit the information to the powers of be that have to have it. What we need to look at is not that the student or the person or the family directs the process, but that the content that they share directs the process. So I'm not big on saying people need to lead their meetings, because leading a meeting is a different skill set. What people should be doing is leading the process, the content. I'm sorry, they should be leading the content, and the content should direct the process. So I know that's a fine line, but I always get a little worried when people say, I want them to run their meeting, because I'm like, that's a whole different skill set. What people should be leading is telling us the life they want. And then it's up to us as professionals to figure out how I can help them. Under the IFSP, under family directed assessment, it says that we need to identify family routines and family concerns. And under the section that says our child and family outcomes, they are supposed to say, this is what we would like our child to be able to do. These are the routines that we as a family would like. So they may say to you, I want to be able to take my child to church, but they can't sit still and they can't do this. And so the IFSP team should be looking at how can you as a family participate in routines and activities that are important to you, and how can our services help you do that? So can they give the child technology? Can they use noise canceling headphones, or can they do something with technology where the child can follow along or whatever? But it's up to us as the professionals to support that family, to have what's important to them as a family. The family directed assessment tool in Ohio asks families to identify their routines, activities, and settings that they want the child to be included in. It also asks, what is keeping you from being involved in the community? So how does a family identify their vision for their child's involvement in the community? And then our challenge as professionals, how do we provide those services and supports to help that family move toward their vision? In the IEP, page 1 is all demographic information, name, address, blah, 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 blah. But on page 2, the first item is future planning. What is the child's future look like? And the IEP team shall ensure that the family's and child's preferences and interests are an essential part of the planning process. So how can we help the family and student identify a future planning or vision statement? And then how do we take that and identify what courses, topics, experiences, opportunities, and goals support the student to move towards their life, their good life or vision, as opposed to us offering the services and supports first. We need to hear what the family and child want and then identify how can we support them. As a speech language pathologist, I would always ask, what is your concern? What do you want to see happen? What would you like to change? And that gave me information. I want my child to be able to talk to their friends. Maybe we need to look at technology. Their speech is pretty hard to understand. How can we help them? Or I want my child to, I want them to be part of a group and they don't know how to initiate conversation. So maybe I might have taught them skills, or again, looking at technology. What can support the child? In the OISP, we have 6 domains from charting the life course, plus communication. So this is language we see in all the plans. These are quality of life areas, what we do during the day, where we live, what we do for fun, who we spend time with, how we take care of our spiritual self, how we take care of our health, and how we feel safe and secure. You know, do people know what to do when there's a power outage, which is a common occurrence in Northeast Ohio where I live, you know. Flooding is not so much. Power outages are. Tornadoes, yes. Even earthquakes, which totally blows my mind, but anyway. And then how do we help people speak up? So a lot of my work as a speech language pathologist was, how do I help that student have a voice? How do I help them share information? As opposed to always making them learn skills which they may never be able to develop, looking at alternative. And that usually was technology. In the OISP, we also ask people what's important to you, and that's what people tell us with their words or their actions. And what's important for. Please also know these are Medicaid terms. They've been in Ohio rule for, like I said, about over 20 years. Important for is what other people say. And it's usually related to health, safety, and to be seen as a valued member of the community. And we want to know people's outcomes, their vision, not the skills they want to learn. They may tell us that also, but what do they want to be able to do in life? And then how can we identify services and supports to help that person move toward the life they want? Here are some categories for important too. There are 8. These are things that you need in your life to help you feel happy and fulfilled. These are not likes and preferences. So these don't correlate directly to the pins, the preferences, interests, needs, and strengths in the IEP process. These are things that have to be in your life or you do not feel happy, you do not feel content. So who are the people? What gives you status? Usually people tell me technology, being able to make their own decisions, things to do and places to go, that's easy. Rituals and routines, what needs to happen or else they get a little thrown off. We all have rituals. Think about if I made you get up at a different time or if I made you follow my routine versus your routine. Rhythm and pace of life, things to have, purpose and meaning, and culture and identity. So those are things to consider when you're asking people what's important to you. Important for is usually, as I said, health, safety, and what others see as necessary to help the person be seen as a valued, contributing member of their community. Think about important for maybe what do people need to be able to do and know to fit into the culture of community? So their community, perhaps their faith-based community, perhaps their employment community, their education community, their social community. What's necessary? What is the culture? A good life is that we have dreams, and because we know that without dreams, all you get is what you're given. And a lot of families, all they get is what they're given. Here are the services we can give you because we have not given them permission to have hope and to have dreams. And we want to change that conversation and help people tell us, support and empower people to tell us their dreams. To have people who believe in you. A good life is when you have what's important to you. So remember that slide, 2 slides or 3 slides back of what's important to you. To be respected, to have more good days than bad, to feel healthy and safe and have control. Again, here are the 6 domains. We'll talk more about each of them tomorrow. But these are aspects of all of our lives. This is the way we define our good life, our quality of life. And under advocacy and engagement, having control over decisions affecting your life. So, some tools to help people identify their vision. I shared the vision tool. It helps you explore all of those, each of those 6 life domains that if your family member is receiving support from the Developmental Disabilities Service System, a county board, or the state, they're going to be asked about these 6 domains. What do they want? It can be to continue whatever's happening right now, because not everybody has a vision in every domain. I live in a condo. I have no intention of moving. So under community living, my outcome is that I stay here. I have no desire to move. It helps people think about that. What is their vision, and record it. And please, this is not a homework assignment. People do not have to fill out every single box. But think about it in your own life. What is your outcome for a good daily life? You know, is it to continue in your job? Is it do you aspire to have a different role, or move to a whole different job? And again, it doesn't have to be different. It can be the same. A lot of families will say, well, of course they're going to live with me. And a lot of young adults, if I ask them, what do you see yourself doing when you're 25? If I'm working with teenagers, I like to ask them to think about when they're 25 and they're out of school. You know, what do you see yourself doing? And a lot of them will say, I'm going to live with mom and dad. And I tell them, okay, that's okay. Because you know what? That's their vision right now. Now, mom and dad's vision may be different, but mom and dad can fill out their own vision tool. And then we can have conversations about what's the same, what's different. Because in charting the life course, we value multiple perspectives. We value the perspective of each parent, because it may not be the same. We value the perspective of the person, and we value the perspective of the siblings, because they may have a vision for their brother or sister. I shared with you the experiences and questions booklet. It helps you look at each of these domains across the life stages and gives you things to consider, questions to consider, questions. There's a session tomorrow, and another 30-minute. I'm sorry, Patricia. Tomorrow is part 2, 11:30 to 12. And we have other sessions, like I'm doing a session on Thursday just on employment and preparing people from age 3 and up for employment. This is what the inside of that experiences and questions booklet looks like. This is the spread for daily life and employment. And it gives you questions to consider. Because people are like, why am I talking about employment with a 5-year-old? Well, because we should be doing things like, do they have chores? Are we teaching them routines so they learn sequencing? You know, are we asking little children, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was with my friend's grandchildren over the over the weekend. And what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, Kung Fu. And so, you know, mom and dad are thinking about signing him up for karate. So, you know, it doesn't mean he's going to be Kung Fu, but by hearing their interests, you know, are we providing people with experiences and opportunities? So the booklet helps people identify a vision, helps you think of questions, helps you look at high expectations. What is possible? I just spoke to a college class at Case Western Reserve a couple of weeks ago, and one of the comments was, I did not realize people with disabilities had so many opportunities and possibilities for their life. And I just went, oh, I'm so glad you see that now. So, you know, we've got to help people see that people have options and possibilities, and it helps people identify an overall vision. So what I want you to think about is if you're working with somebody of a certain age, what are other people that age doing? Are we providing those opportunities to people with disabilities? Are we looking at assistive tech? You know, why aren't we looking? And by assistive tech, I don't mean just things that are for people with disabilities, but are we looking at any technology that helps people do things? Are we encouraging self-determination, which is control over decisions affecting your life? As a speech pathologist, the first thing I taught someone to say was no when I used a device or symbols or pictures or manual sign. The first thing I taught them to say was no. Why? Because the word no gives you control over your life. Are we helping people look ahead? Are we empowering people to ask questions? You don't have to accept everything we say. Ask why. Ask, my favorite question is that rule or is that just a procedure that someone told you? And then are we giving people permission to share their emotions, what they like, what they don't like, what they're afraid of, what they're concerned about? So we can show them that they're not alone and they have support. So again, thank you for joining me for this quick lunch with LifeCourse. When you leave, you will get a feedback survey that pops up, I think. If not, if you want to do it now, here's the QR code and you can use it, but we appreciate your feedback. Again, we are grant funded. And so we like to get the feedback and report to our funders. And I will see you tomorrow at 11:30. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Barb, you got the